I believe that we're on this earth to put a mark on it, to leave an imprint on it, and hopefully that mark will make a difference in someone else's life. On the 24th of August 2020, I got an email from the president of the Marist Boys Old Pupils Association, and the message was, "Dear Zita, our association is organizing St. Joseph's College's 70th anniversary, scheduled to take place on the 6th to the 8th of November 2020. One of the events of the anniversary will be a fautasi race amongst the four houses. We would like to include you and your fautasi as our special guest if you agree. We heard that you have an all-female crew, and if you want, your all-female crew can take part in our fautasi race. And the Prime Minister is supportive of including your fautasi team in our anniversary race." I literally bawled my eyes out. So much emotion, so many memories of the pain, the struggles, the ridicule I faced as the only woman in the sport of fautasi or longboat racing. To quote again from the email, "We heard that you have an all-female crew, and if you want, your all-female crew can take part in our fautasi race as our special guest." Who would have thought that after all these years, it took an association of brave men to invite a woman skipper and her non-existent all-women's team into the sport? You see, I had no all-women's crew. The national television stations and newspapers had earlier reported that I, Zita Martel, now has women rowers on her fautasi. But in actual fact, I only had 4 because the other 10 women couldn't handle the tough team training. So I quickly sent off my reply that I accept the Marist challenge. And they replied back, "Our Marist Boys Old Pupils Committee met today and are grateful for your acceptance of our invitation." But I'm getting ahead of myself. Allow me to take you back to one hot Sunday morning in our church hall where my journey as the only woman skipper in the Samoan archipelago started, in a sport that at the time was traditionally taboo to women. Our church owned a fautasi or longboat named after the brilliant green, yellow, blue and red sengavao bird. So on this hot Sunday, back in August of the year 2001, with no wins to our record, our church members met to choose a skipper to take the Sengavao fautasi on her 5th race at the September Te Wila Festival. But there was a big problem. None of the men in our church congregation wanted the job. The longboat was already a losing sensation, and the chairman asked again to the men, who will volunteer or put up their hand to skipper the fautasi? No one. And then the women chimed in. What about Zita? She's a winning captain of outrigger canoes. She can captain the longboat. Well, it was quickly put to the vote, and the rest, as they say, is history. It didn't matter that the two sports are like night and day. Canoes are small and it takes a maximum of 6 paddlers. 6 paddlers. Longboats are long as 100 feet plus with 45 to 50 men rowers. Yep, only men are allowed. It didn't matter that I'd never, like 99.9% of the women in the country, set foot on a fautasi or longboat. At my first skippers meeting, I was so shit scared. I literally shook so bad in my seat when it came to my turn to introduce myself. Most of the high chiefs thought that I was the secretary attending on behalf of the captain. And when it came to my turn and I said, "Respectful greetings to the high chiefs, the esteemed members of the Guild of Skippers of the nation. I'm Vaimasanu'u Zita Sifo Martel, captain of Singapore FAUTASI. You literally could not hear a pin drop in the room. All I wanted was to sink quietly through the floor. A petition letter was received by our church priest the day after the meeting, signed by all the skippers of the country at the time, to have me removed from the sport of FAUTASI longboat because it was culturally taboo to women. Our church priest called me over to his home to tell me the news. And I cried, and I said, "I told you so." And Father Sanile said, "Zita, I can't undo a blessing you've been blessed with in this church by the members of this church and by God." And that was also my answer to the skippers who delivered this petition. The head of the United Nations Development Programme did a survey on whether or not Zita Martel should be in the sport of FAUTASI, because for the UN, it was an interesting case as it challenged traditional ideologies. And the result of their national survey was 50-50. So why am I telling this story? You see, I entered the sport of FAUTASI on the resounding vote in our church, spearheaded by the women, not because I'm a woman, but because there was no one else to be the captain. And of course, my first knee-jerk reaction was a flat no. But the women looked at me with their huge smiles and such expectation on their faces, and I made the decision on the spot. Okay, well, hell, I'm not going to do this FAUTASI thing on my own, and started picking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 15 women in the meeting were picked to go with me. You all got me into this, you're all coming with me on the longboat. There was much celebration over milky tea and biscuits, but I was left with the sinking feeling of, what the hell have I gotten myself into? On my 2001 maiden race as the first woman skipper, I was not the only woman on the boat. I had my church sisters with me who gave me the strength, the push, and the support when I was a mere rookie. It was a historical race for my country, as it was also the first time that a FAUTASI longboat had a mixed team with women rowers and a woman skipper at the helm. We came dead last, but the heart of the nation was won over on that beautiful day. When we eventually arrived at the finish line, the Apia harbour was packed with spectators waiting for the arrival of the historical longboat that was skippered by a woman with her women rowers mixed in with the men. It was as if we had won the race that day. And to top it off, the police band was on the Apia Bridge welcoming us to the finish line as if we had won. So we quickly anchored the longboat in Apia Harbour, and our women, being the sassy women they are, got the police band to escort our FAUTASI team through the streets of Apia to the government building for the prize giving. The deciding factor for me to say yes in that church hall 23 years ago was that the women and the men folk in my tribe had my back. I felt the power of their conviction because they knew that I was the right person for the job. Not because I am a woman, but because they had faith in me that I could do the job, seeing that there was no man suitable for the role at that particular moment in time. Now, to add some more context to the story, over the years at the Guild of Skippers meetings, the topic of bringing in more women into the sport of FAUTASI was not at all encouraged. Every time I brought up the subject of women participation, it was either received with silence or they would say, well, if they want to race, they're good to race the Tulula. These are the short clinker boats of 8 to 12 rowers. And it was early on that I came to realize that there are some changes in our cultural traditions that will frustratingly take a long time to happen. But I could not force change through words. I had to effect change through action, through results. And I vowed in my heart that I will honor the privilege and the blessing given to me by the women, and that I will do it well. Like my mother used to say, lototele, brave heart. So I got to work. Throughout the years, with changing crews and teams, I learned that the best and the most powerful statement that one can make in a space where you're the outsider is to win with your team. Not once, not twice, but consistently showing up every year and at every race at the 5, 7, or 10-mile start line, ready to kick some ass with your team. In 2006, our FAUTASI team was invited by the governor of American Samoa to compete in their Flag Day race. No FAUTASI team from my country, Western Samoa, had won the 7-mile race from deep ocean. The little Rena of Apia won the short harbor race of 2.5 miles a few years earlier. But the 7-mile race in American Samoa is the mother of all races. Can we break the 7-mile race, or are we only good in the flat waters of the lagoon in Samoa? We won that enormous battle of courage, of guts, and will on the oceans of American Samoa that year in 2006, and we were no longer a one-hit wonder. In my previous videos, I mentioned that the core principle and philosophy I teach my longboat crews over the years is FAUTASI, the secret to our consistent success as a team for more than 20 years. I searched everywhere for a code of the warrior lifestyle and concept that aligned with my own values to build and grow the teams. It had to be something that was relevant and deeply spiritual. If I was to last in the sport as a leader and as a captain and be impactful, what is the way of life that is the glue, the bond, the code that immediately means team? And it was right under my nose. In actual fact, I was in it. FAUTASI. To me, FAUTASI is a deeply nuanced word and philosophy. FAUTASI. For those of you who don't know, FAUTASI is a longboat that measures anywhere between 95 feet to 115 feet in length, with a rowing crew of between 45 to 50 plus men. Now, the literal meaning of the word FAUTASI in Samoan means to build as one. When you break down the two syllables, fau means to build, tasi means one, to build as one. There are many of us on the team, in the village, in the community, in the church, but when we are of one heart, one mind, and one vision, we can achieve anything together as a team. And attached to this concept are the principles of discipline, of trust, accountability, mental toughness, all important to the success of the team. But before any wins, any successes, before any change or impact is felt, there are the unseen hours of work, the sleepless nights, the struggles, the tears, the frustrations of iterating oar designs, steer designs, boat designs, building and mentoring many groups of men to become one, to become the FAUTASI, the unit, a team that becomes so strong through their oneness that they simply dance and glide on the ocean so gracefully, effortlessly leaving the other longboats in their wake. Thanks to the women of my tribe, I had found my purpose, my dream role of being a leader and mentor of young men and women in the most unlikeliest sport, one that caught my heart and became my life's work. So back to that email challenge from the president of Marist, that out of the blue landed in my inbox on the 24th of August, 2020. I cried and realized that I had come full circle. 20 years later, and I was primed and ready for the challenge issued by the Marist men of Samoa. Please visit me again next week on Friday for part 2 of our story. Is it at all possible to pull together a brand new team of all women in just 3 weeks and take on the men of Samoa? Or am I being set up for a massive, very public failure and shaming? And will the women of Samoa step up to the calling? Please comment below this video or ask me any questions about the philosophy of FAUTASI, leadership, and building large teams. Goodbye for now. Go out there and do you, because you are unique. Happy International Women's Day.